Welcome, everybody, to Freedom Mentor Live. I'm your host, Phil Pustiovsky, and joined by co host Brian Bush. Welcome, Brian.
Hey Phil, how are you today?
I am great, and I'm excited. We're going to blow some minds tonight. We're going to talk about next level creative real estate investing. Everybody, to make sure that you can hear Brian and I, make sure that tech is working, please do what Tom just did there in the chat and chat in where you are coming to us from. Um, Last week I was in my place in the Florida Keys. Today I'm back in my home office, and both of those are in Florida. So I'm coming to you from Florida. Brian comes to you from the great state of Texas. What's going on in Texas right now, Brian? Anything fun and exciting?
I believe we got the World Cup coming, so everybody's getting
Oh,
ready for that. Yeah.
perfecto. Well, I'm excited too. I've become a pro soccer fan. We got Jody from DFW, Timothy from LA, John from South Carolina, Mike from Wisconsin. Just so you know, John from South Carolina, they just put in about a year ago pretty stout law that essentially makes it impossible to wholesale real estate, whereby you flip a house prior to getting on title. And boy, were the folks in South Carolina, the real estate agents that pushed, that lobbied for that law to get in there, they were so proud of themselves. Um, Howard in North Carolina. Howard, we talked just the other night. Really excited for you. Some of the deals you're working on. Philip from LA. Very, very cool. Oliver from there in Western Australia, the one who knows Peter Daniels. Nice. Speaking of crazy laws, Mike and Don from Wisconsin, just so y'all know, a law got passed last year that makes it really hard to file an encumbrance against a property relative to an agreement, which when you're flipping houses, it's one of the ways that you protect your interest. In fact, it's one of the ways that real estate agents protect their interest. And boy, is it tough to do that there in Wisconsin now. Still making a lot of money in real estate, of course, but man, these real estate agents and these different lobbyists, they're doing everything they can to make to force us to do something called creativity. And that's what tonight is about. It's about next level creative real estate investing. We got Roy from Boston, Abby from Jacksonville. Howard got his deal under contract today. Nice. All right. Everybody give him a round of applause. It's a good feeling when that seller says yes and they sign on that contract. Great to hear, Howard. Ricky from Corsicana, Texas. All right. Not too far from Hillsborough. Um, Adolfo's also from Boston. Nice. All right. Well, let me ask y'all this there in the chat. What is your definition of creative real estate investing? What is your definition of creative real estate investing? We use that phrase. You know, Brian, I think we were one of the originators of that phrase in what we do with real estate. I mean, people were doing the deals, some of the types of deals we do, 40, 50 years ago, but they didn't have a name for it. And we were one of the folks that really put that phrase to what we do. But I'd be interested to know where our audience stands on the definition of creative real estate investing. Stephanie writes non-bank financing. Okay, non-bank financing. Steven says not using your own money. Okay. Now I'm gonna throw a few things out as y'all brought those things up. So Steven, uh, those in our military, and I'm very thankful that this is an option for them. They can use a VA loan, and they can buy a house with no money down. But getting that VA loan, is that creative or is that traditional? Okay. Oliver says doing real estate deals that are outside the box. And that could be true. That could be true. Rhonda, we have used the stacked credit card method, which worked well. Okay. So you used a series of credit cards to help acquire a property. And then Stephanie said non-bank financing. That's definitely a part of creative real estate. All right, so this is the way that we like to define it. It's how you buy the product. Thank you, Jody. Subject to seller finance, owner finance, wraps. See what Jody is mentioning there is how you buy the property. So first, I think it's almost easiest, Brian, to say what it's not.
Yep.
It's not paying all cash for a property and just closing on it. Creative real estate investing is not getting a loan. It's everything that's not that. And so I love where Jody mentioned subject to seller finance, owner financing wraps. Um, what it is, it's subject to, it's owner financing, it's selling while under contract. It's everything that doesn't involve getting a loan. I'm talking about a VA loan or a conventional loan. I'm even talking about a hard money loan. That's not a creative thing to do. There are literally thousands of hard money lenders out there. We have a special guest tonight, Scott, who's going to go over an incredibly creative deal that we all did together, and he made a lot of money on. He has a great relationship with a nationwide hard money lender. And these different nationwide hard money lenders, they battle for business, and their rates are incredibly competitive. In fact, one of the mortgage brokers I was talking to recently, Brian, he was telling me what some of their rates are on their second mortgage line of credits against investment properties. And like the low numbers were like 12%. And I was like, I was like, Eric, you can get a better deal on some of these national hard money lenders,
Yep.
some of these DSCR loan operators. So, so it's not a loan, it's not paying cash. It's all of the ways in which you can buy a property that either A, did not involve you putting all of your own money to buy the whole thing and close on it, or to get a loan. All right. And so if that's what creative real estate investing is, like what is next level creative real estate investing? Well, that is where you combine more than one of those techniques. And some of you may be asking, what is creative? What is a subject to? And what is owner financing? We're going to give you some examples here and break them down, and so you'll get a chance to understand what they are. But Stephanie, one of our team members, you'll see her making posts in the chat. Stephanie can also drop a link to a comparison of different creative strategies. So we have entire videos that go into great detail on this. I think what you're going to like about tonight is we're going to break down the exact deals. So creative is about combining. Now, Brian, one of our go-tos is the subject to with owner financing in the second position, so that we make the seller our bank, right? That's one of our go-to moves.
Yep. Yeah, it really comes down to each deal has got unique ingredients. So it's really just understanding the tools in your toolbox and how to, as you said, combine them to get more done.
And that also means sometimes we reduce lien payoffs. We'll talk about that. And sometimes it's like all of the above. The more creative, the more tools that you not only have in your toolbox, but that you know how to use, the more money you make. Brian, I was talking to a commercial real estate investor earlier this week, and a super nice guy. And I don't think he meant anything negative by it. But he was mentioning the fact that the reason why he went into buying apartment buildings, and he was a very successful in his career in the finance industry, so he was sitting on quite a bit of money. He said the reason why I didn't go into residential, Phil, was because I felt like I was always, when I looked at other people that made money and they described the stories of the deals they did, they always described situations where they took advantage of the seller. That it was a zero sum gain in that game, in that they would gain money as a result of the seller not getting as much for the property as they should have. Can anybody relate to that? This idea that that real estate investing on the residential level, that you're essentially you've seen where others may take advantage of a seller. Maybe they're about to go into foreclosure and they have no other option. And so I think there's quite a few people that just have a fundamental problem with that, and rightfully so. So next level creative real estate investing is about using creativity whereby everyone wins and you still make a lot of money. And it can be done. We're going to show you how that works. We're going to show you exactly how that happens. But if you're simply making lowball offers to people in difficult situations and then you beat them down with tough negotiating strategies, I could see where some people would look at you and say, that guy, he's only benefiting from the loss of others. Tonight, you're going to see a very different story. You're going to see how when you have all of the right tools, you know how to use them, you can make huge money and everybody wins. And I think that surprises a lot of people. And then when I show them this, they go, oh, oh, I see how you made that. Oh my goodness, that's ingenious. Wow. That's what you're about to have. That's the blow into the mind. All right. So who all remembers last week me talking about the first deal I did with my mentor, this 5537 Hargrove Ridge Road in Franklin, Tennessee. Put a thumbs up, put something in the chat if you remember this story. I'll give you a hint. Remember how I did the old cue the deer, right? Remember that? All right, let's see if anybody. Oh, there's Oliver. Thumbs up. Yeah. Remember, I took you down literally and figuratively. I took you down memory lane to talk about that deal and how we walked down on Google Streets with it. Well, yes, Michael remembers. Fantastic. Well, the part I didn't share with you had to do with all of the creativity that went into that deal. And this is where you can start to get inside the world of next level creative real estate investing. Okay, here we go. All right. So there's going to be a lot of information, and this is the only way to do it. If I confuse you, just hang on for the ride. We've got a chat here. You can always ask me questions and Brian questions along the way. All right. I know that's a lot to a slide. Here we go. So when we met with the seller, and I don't know why that picture's on there. You know what the picture looks like. When we met with this seller, he had the property listed for a year. It was his dream home. He's the one that had it built. He's the one that set up this back porch, with the beautiful view of the backyard. But he got to a point where he couldn't afford it anymore, and he was trying to sell it. But it wouldn't sell, and here's why. He had a first mortgage for $225,000. Then he had a second mortgage for $50,000. So he owed $275,000. Everybody tracking? Owes $275,000. He's also past due on payments. So, and I know this number sounds a little low at $4,800 for 4 months. He actually had an interest-only loan. So his payments were only $1,200 a month. That's with taxes and insurance. So he's really more like he owes a little over $280,000, and it had been listed for $300,000, and there was no buyers. Remember, the agent's got to build in some commission. So by the time he reaches out to me, he's about to let this go to foreclosure. And keep in mind, an agent had already spent a year trying to sell it. Not just any agent, by the way. At the time, that was the leading real estate agent in that general region. I know that was a rural area, but she covered a big swath, and she was the big kahuna in that general region. In fact, let me bring it back on the screen here to remind everybody of where this thing was. So, and I'm going to zoom out. Brian, you can see that pretty well, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this agent, she dominated for Fairview and Leapers Fork and this whole region. By the way, the real estate in this area is so expensive now. This is a very wealthy part of Tennessee. And so when the lead comes to me, he's upside down, meaning the amount that he owes is about as much or more than the property's worth. So he's willing to walk away and just let it go to foreclosure. Heck, he's already 4 payments past due. His credit's already wrecked. I don't know if y'all know that or not, little tidbit. Once you get past 90 days, that's big trouble on your credit. You can be 30 days past due or even 60. Once you cross the Rubicon of the 90-day mark, that really crushes somebody's credit. So he's basically thrown his hands in the air. So I ask y'all this question. If I buy this property from this gentleman and he doesn't have to, and it's just, he walks away from it, like break even. Have I taken advantage of him in any way? Have I screwed this guy? If I'm willing to buy the property for what he owes, the 275 plus his past due payments, and an agent for a year couldn't sell it. Here, throw in the chat. Am I taking advantage of this guy or am I helping him? Okay. As Tom writes, no, not at all. Stephen, not at all. Correct. I'm helping this person, right? And in fact, if he brought money to the table, I'd still be helping him. Because the only thing worse than 4 payments past due is a foreclosure on the record. Okay. So recall from my story that the first thing that I did, and this was what my mentor, again, this was the first deal I did with my mentor, so he was coaching me through this. Because I needed money immediately, he's like, get a tenant buyer in there. And you remember my story with the deer prancing in front of the truck. They put $20,000 down. Now, where did the $20,000 go? 4,800 of it had to go to catch up the first mortgage because they were past due. But watch this. I didn't pay off the second mortgage. Instead, with my mentor's help, we negotiated a short sale just on the second mortgage. A short sale, in other words, the second mortgage company had already sold the defaulted debt to a debt collector. The debt collector just wanted some money. And the debt collector was willing to take $5,000 for the $50,000 lien. Why would a second mortgage company accept $5,000 when they were owed $50,000? Why would they do that, Brian?
Because they're about to be wiped out entirely.
What does that mean? What do you mean wiped out?
In other words, if they're a subordinate or junior lien, when that first forecloses, they get wiped out. Their mortgage is gone. They get no money. They've made a bad loan.
Does that make sense, everybody? See, the second mortgage thinks the first mortgage is foreclosing because they were. The paperwork had already been filed, all that stuff. So they think they're foreclosing. And if the first mortgage forecloses at a foreclosure auction, because they have to board the place up and all the other things, the people that buy at auction buy it a lot less. And so there's not going to be any room to pay these people. So what the second mortgage is thinking is, I need to get some money rather than nothing. And plus they have legal fees mounting as well. They have all kinds of stuff. Not to mention the fact that they can't lend as much money because when funds go into default, when these loans go into default, it reduces the ability for them to lend. So the lender in a second, not the same with the first mortgage, the second position, they're a lot more willing to negotiate. These days, Brian, with this was before the days of AI and whatnot, and the AVMs and the innovative valuation models. Before those days, you could get these kind of discounts. Now, usually they might want more like 10 or 15 on this one, but back then you get it for 5. Okay, so with my mentor's help, we negotiate this to 5. So we take the 20,000, we put the 4,800, we catch that up, and we pay this off. So we're left with about 10,000. But watch this, it's a rent to own. So the tenant buyer is going to pay $1,800 a month. Remember I said the first mortgage is $1,200 a month because it was interest-only payments. So after we pay these two off, over the next 12 months, I collected $7,200 in cash flow, $600 a month. I had no other expenses outside of that because the tenant buyer took care of everything, all maintenance, all headaches, all everything. In fact, he was a contractor, so he fixed everything that was a problem. Okay, so I had 10,000 up front, if everybody's tracking. I then, over the course of time, get another 600 a month. But wait, there's more. Watch this. So after 12 months, the tenant buyer is getting a loan to pay 280 for the house. And this is where, first of all, have y'all already seen the creativity? We took over a property subject to. This loan stayed in place, started making payments on it. This is the subject to part. We did a short sale here, moved a tenant buyer in, and if some of you are like, what is going on? Yeah, this is where the money is. This is where you help the seller, you help a tenant buyer, and everybody wins. Even the bank won. I know it doesn't look like they won, but if this thing would have gone into foreclosure, they would have lost big. Okay. When this tenant buyer goes to buy, they do what's called a title search. And when we did our title search, our title agent did not pick up on what I'm about to share with you. I have to show you by satellite for it to make sense. All right, watch this. Okay, so this house is down this long driveway. Everybody see that? House is here. The land on the house was this piece right here that I am trying to show, and I'll zoom in one more time. Look, y'all wanted creativity. You're getting it right here. Next level. Watch this. You're going to blow it. Mine's going to be blown here in a second. This is the property. It's this long, skinny thing. Oh, I know it's shaded. Do you see this right here? I'm going to put the guy right there. There's the trash truck from across the street. Remember that part of the story. All right, this is the driveway of going back to the house. What's this? At some point in history, that long parcel, they carved out the front part to put a house. This was long before this guy owned the property. And what I'm sharing with you is super common in rural areas. I've done a lot of deals in rural areas over the years. It's super, super common. What you do is you need to connect to a county maintained road, which they did. And so they left a little sliver to go back, but then this front parcel, they turned into another house. Everybody tracking? Brian, you tracking? We all good,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, watch this. This little carve out right there was a different deed. It's a different deed. This loan on the first mortgage, when they put the loan in place and they did the legal description, they did the legal description of this parcel, not the big guy. Now, it could have been as simple as just sign this little document. But my mentor, as soon as I shared with him, I said, hey, I don't know if this matters or not. And I told him the story. He goes, really? He goes, we might be able to make a little more money. So instructed me what to do, made some phone calls. In the end, Brian, it was basically, hey, this is going to be an expensive legal problem for you. Your lien is against the wrong property. We don't have to pay it off. So they gave us a $10,000 discount because they knew they had the legal fees. They had a big problem. How creative is that, everybody? You ever heard of such a thing? A mistake on the legal description of the mortgage, and we're able to turn that into $10,000 discount. So in the end, when it was all said and done, this thing's kind of blocking that. Yeah, it's blocking it. Oh, there it is. $56,000 was the net profit on all this. When you get the $10,000 up front, $600 a month, and then the final payoff, especially after reducing the payoff. That, ladies and gentlemen, is next level creativity. Okay, I'm sure you got questions. Any questions, everybody? Yeah, that is where you put all of these components together, and what you make is an amazing deal where everybody wins. And one of the things that happened after this deal, Brian, was it clarified for me uh, that without a mentor, I wouldn't have made any money. And as Tom just writes in there, with my mentor, we shared the profits 50-50. 28,000 was a whole lot more. 50% of 56,000, 28,000, whole lot more than zero. I to this day, I outside of our organization, I don't know of almost anyone who does deals like this. This is an everyday occurrence for us. We look at every angle with our students. We come up with all kinds of creative strategies to try to win with the seller, win with us, win with whoever's in the deal. You really can do win-win-win deals, but it does take creativity, and you got to have an enormous amount of experience. And so this is at the heart of what we do. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
No, what stands out to me, this was your first deal with your mentor. So not only did you make the 28,000 in profit for your side, and I think around that time you were living out of your truck, so that was a life changer there. But you got a master's level course in
Yeah,
creative thinking, talk about mind blown. When
yeah.
you start seeing these at work, your mind just goes into another gear once the dust settles and you start trying to piece it together. And now every deal you see differently. You see deals where other people don't see deals. So talk about paying dividends, right?
Amen. I love your point. I mean, I think, by the way, I want to answer Mabel your question in a moment too. Brian, think of those that are with us tonight and how many of them have probably walked past great deals that they just didn't see all the angles. They just didn't see it. Other investors looked it over, other agents looked it over, and they just couldn't figure out what to do. So, I'm going to give you another example of this, but before I do, Mabel, you said, so what if you were sold a wrong house and you paid cash for the property? That's what title insurance is for. And it doesn't always solve the problem. That's where attorneys get involved. And frankly, we do a lot of our own homework. As much as insurance can help, uh, you have to do your own homework. Or if you're a part of our program, we show you how to do that because you have to be very careful. Absolutely. It happens. In fact, Brian recently did a training on deed theft. It's a new occurrence where people are just outright stealing properties from others by recording deeds with false signatures. So you got to know what you're doing in this business. It makes a ton of money, but there's a whole entire universe of skill. Let me give you another example, and then we'll have our guests come on here. This was a deal that other investors had turned down, other agents had turned down. And you're looking at the after pictures on this house. Let me break this thing down. There's a lot to it, but the first mortgage, I know this sounds crazy, was 15,000. 15,000. The person the borrower who had just been moved into a nursing home. So I was dealing with the son, the executor of like the trust or the trustee of the trust. Uh, it had been in place for 28 and a half years, that loan. So there was very little left on that loan. There was a tax lien for like 55,000. This is a federal income tax lien, federal income tax lien. There's a Ford Motor Credit lien on the property, and then it needed about 30,000 in work. They could not find a buyer. They had called other investors, they had talked to agents, and everyone said, "Look, you're upside down. This just needs to go to foreclosure." And by the way, the first mortgage had not been paid in months and months and months. And so when he reached out to me, this son, he said, "Look, everybody's turned me down. everybody. And this was a little bit outside of this investor's range here. So that's why he didn't get to the deal earlier. And so he brought it up to the team and looked this thing over. And the first thing we noticed, we said, wait a minute. That first mortgage has been in place for 28 and a half years. And we have access to data that shows us that. Said, could you do me a favor? Go ahead and get this thing under contract. Just go ahead and get it under contract for the amount he owes. And he said, oh no, Phil, he wants 10,000 in his pocket. Okay. Get under contract with 10,000 in his pocket. We'll do a title search. I want to look at these liens because this is unusual. And so pulled up the lien, got the lien search. Turned out the tax lien was less than 3 months away from expiring. So liens in Florida can only stay on a property for 10 years. And then there is the option for a 10-year renewal. And if that renewal is not renewed, then it expires. But in this case, it had been renewed, so it was like in its 20th year. And then the Ford Motor Credit lien was like the same thing. So I guess this borrower had gone through troubled times way back and then just left these liens on this property and just wrote it out. So I looked at this thing and I was like, wait a minute. The 55,000 and the 12,000 by Florida state law are just going to go away in 3 months. Just fall off the property. And so here's what we did. Gave the seller his 10,000. He couldn't believe it. Gave all these reviews. It's just like, you're the greatest people, giving us hugs. It's crazy. It's crazy. Loving us. Like we had saved his life and helped with the expenses of getting in the nursing home. It was the greatest thing ever. Did the reno on this. Did the 30,000 in fix up. Because we have 3 months to kill, right? We got some time to kill. So we did the renovations. He didn't have to worry, Brian, about the contractors taking their sweet time, even though they always do, And we sold that property for $140,000. Made $77,000 on that deal. $77,000. Everybody won. Ford Motor and tax lien, that was going to expire in 3 months anyways. They needed the 10,000 that day. They couldn't wait 3 months. Couldn't do it. They were begging someone to do what we did. Although we were the only ones to see that those liens were going to expire when they did. 77,000 in profit. That's next level creativity. We mixed a bunch of things together there. We did subject to, I can't help but share this. So Brian, I was a little concerned because they hadn't paid the mortgage in so long. So I reached out to the mortgage company and I said, what's the amount to catch it up? And the person said, this is a walkaway file. So what's a walkaway file? I said, it's been in place for 28 and a half years. There's like no interest left on this. That 15,000 is all principal. There's no benefit to us filing a lawsuit for foreclosure because there's no interest left. There's nothing. It's cost prohibitive. It's just stupid. So we're just going to leave it there. And I said, wait a minute. So I could just hold on to this property and never pay this 15,000? Yep, you sure could. We're never going to foreclose on this thing. So I never had to make payments on the 15,000 until I sold it. So that's creativity at a whole new level. Now we have a special guest come out here in just a second. So Scott, feel free to click the button to jump on in. And Jamal, we're going to answer your question. How can I make money wholesaling houses? We're gonna answer that for you here shortly. But first, let's bring Scott on board and let's dive into his incredibly creative deal. All right, Scott, are you with us? Yes, he's here.
Hey,
welcome, Scott.
How's it going?
Going great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and so Scott, we we're blowing everyone's minds with ultra creative deals. Instead of keeping it simple, we're throwing in all the details and we're hoping people can keep up. Um, so what I'm excited to share is a deal that you worked on that I think was incredibly creative, and I'll venture to guess most people have never heard of such a thing. So let's give them a detailed tour of this thing. All right, so this is the after repaired pictures of
Right,
this beauty, right?
right.
All right, take us into what it was like in connecting with this seller. What was the seller situation? And we're going to go into great detail because it's the only way for everyone to soak in the all the lessons that come with it.
Yep. Yeah, the seller was he was an older guy, and he had a lady that he was talking to. I believe that she filled out the form on my website looking for someone to buy his house.
Hmm.
I didn't have their phone number. I sent them letter after letter after letter. I noticed online that he owed about 4 years in back taxes on the property. And I'm here in Louisiana, and after 3 years of back taxes aren't paid,
Hmm.
person that has been paying the taxes can actually file to take over the property. Now, if the person fights them, they might not be successful with that, but nevertheless, that person can name their price pretty much at that point. And the person that paid for the taxes on it was an attorney in another state, so he knew exactly what he was doing. And
I got you. So everybody, when when someone, an outside party, in this case, some attorney from a different state, pays someone else's property tax bill, it's called a tax lien. How many of you have heard of tax liens? Go ahead and put that in the chat if you've heard of a tax lien. Um, it's very interesting, right? So a lot of bills out there. At Stephen, you've heard of tax liens. A lot of bills, the person who's owed the money is the one that goes after the person that owes it. Okay, Roy, Mac, oh, we got a lot of folks in the tax liens. Okay, good, good, good. It's just strange, right? You can get some random person to pay your bill. Michael, Fidel. All right, good. Renee. And so a tax lien is when someone doesn't pay their property taxes and some other person pays your bill. But here's the thing. You got to pay that person back along with interest, guaranteed interest. And in some states, it's pretty decent interest rate. But what Scott's sharing is at some point, 1 year turns into 2 years, turns into 3 years. In the state of Louisiana, after 3 years of not paying, if you are the one that keeps buying the tax liens, like you're the one and you have all three, it's kind of like having enough houses on your monopoly board. You get all these tax liens for this one individual property, and now the law says you can petition to become the owner. And this is where they sometimes refer to it as a tax lien redemption. Sometimes they call it a tax lien deed. This is where your investment in these tax liens can turn into ownership of the property. Now, we're not going to go too far down the road of that topic. I'm just going to let you all know that the real money is not buying tax liens. It's not buying tax lien deeds or tax lien redemptions. The real money is what you're about to find out Scott did. The creative real estate investing is where the money's made. Those that spend all their money and time on tax liens are giving up a ton of money and a lot of liquidity for a little bit of interest. Okay, so Scott, this seller is in a heap of trouble.
right.
He's got a tax lien holder that's an attorney that's coming after the deed and the ownership of the property. Now, does this guy have a loan on the property or does he own it free and clear?
No, he owned the property free and clear. I guess he was quite successful in his day, but after he was older, I think he had some health problems. His wife passed away. He no longer had his income stream, and the property was had some deferred maintenance there, and he actually had that property listed for about a year before I reached out to him, and the real estate agent had it way overpriced, and so he was he had it there as far as wanting to deal with the real estate agent. He didn't want to deal with the real estate agent. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So uh he he had already taken tremendous steps. Because look, 3 years, a year ago, he was already three tax liens behind. He knew he had to do something. So he puts it on the market. He puts his trust in a real estate agent. And 1 year goes by and it doesn't sell. Now, this thing had some problems, right, Scott? We had some roof leaks or some damage in the ceiling, right?
Right. There was a leak on the third floor. It's a 3-story house overlooking a big lake. And there was a leak on the very top floor. So that sent water coming down all 3 levels.
Yeah.
It wasn't a huge leak, but yeah, definitely caused a serious problem there. Um, Floors needed to be refinished, new flooring in the house. Uh, some of the kitchen appliances weren't working right. Just some basic little rehab that needed to be done.
And that made it hard for him, right? This is
hard to
the bigger
sell.
home, as y'all can see. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, Scott, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah, yeah, he had some problems there that were adding to the problem of him selling it with the realtor. But the real problem with the realtor is she just had it way overpriced. She had
Yeah.
it way overpriced, and he was in a position where he was ready to let it go. And I knew that if I was to give him cash for the house and use a hard money loan on a house that big and that expensive, the number was going to be incredibly low, like in the lower 300,000s. And I told him, I was like, I know this is probably not going to work for you. I said, if I was to buy it cash, I would be around 300,000. Said there is a different way I could do it. I would probably be closer to 400,000. It'd be a creative deal. I said, I really don't know if you're interested in that. And I totally expected the guy to tell me to kick rocks or pound sand or whatever. So we hung up there, and well, 5 minutes later he called me back and he said let's talk about that 400,000, that creative solution there. So
Sure. Here, I'm going to stop you for just a second. So, uh, what Scott was just sharing is that if he got a hard money loan, that it was going to require him to reduce his offer. Out of curiosity, there in the chat, what is an average interest rate for a hard money loan right now? Go ahead and throw that in the chat. Fidel's asking, is this property was for sale with a realtor? Yes, this property was previously for sale by a real estate agent for a year and it didn't sell. Rhonda's at 12%, Tom's at 12 to 16%, 12 to 15 for Steven. Yeah, y'all are on track. Now there's some national hard money lenders. If you've got a great track record and whatnot, they might go a little lower than that. They might get down to as low as 9 or 10. But yeah, you've got to expect around 12%. All right, now you all get your calculators out. Leah is mentioning 9%. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting with the best of the best out there and you have a tremendous track record, big down payment, you might be able to get in that 9 to 10 range right now. Okay, so get out your calculator. If you're paying $400,000, and let's just say you were getting a hard money loan on that entire amount, because some of which was going to be renovation, multiply that by 12%. That's $48,000 in a year of interest. Now remember, they also charge origination and some other fees at closing. Hard money is expensive. So what Scott's saying is, if he had to get a hard money loan to buy this, and remember why he has to get a hard money loan. Remember that this borrower is about to lose the house to tax foreclosure, and there's not much you can do about that. You either pay the taxes or it goes. Now, Scott, the amount in taxes was how much? 50,000, 60? I can't remember exactly.
it was right over 45,000 that
Okay.
after the 3 years, the person can just the interest part of it goes away,
Mhm.
and that attorney just pretty much called his price. I mean, you could try to go to court and fight him over it, but I'm thinking it was more than double of what the taxes he actually paid.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So he's got to pay, as you're saying, about 45. So
5,000.
yeah, and I know you are getting excited about no money down deals, and we certainly show you those. Like the one earlier, my Cue the Deer deal was no money down. This is not a no money down deal. This seller needs some serious money in his pocket to pay this thing off, or else it's gone, and he loses it, and he loses everything. So this is not a no money down deal. Money's got to come from somewhere. And the problem is going the hard money route is trouble. Because if you go hard money, the amount of interest and the amount of fees and that go into it, hard money seems to work a lot better mathematically, y'all, when you're buying a house for like $100,000. We've done literally thousands and thousands of deals across the last 20 years, all 50 states. It's tough when you start getting into the four, five, $600,000 range to use hard money. Hard money lenders love it. But as an investor, it's tough because it just seems to just suck all the juice out of the deal. So Scott, he's open-minded to this creative offer. And so what creative offer had you come up with?
I was gonna give him some money to get this guy paid off. Well, actually, I asked you what would be a good way to handle this because I wasn't totally familiar with how to handle this one. And you told me, hey, if I give you the money to pay this guy off and you can seller finance the rest through him, then that would work. Where a hard money lender will not do that. They will not lend while I'm also have seller financing with the seller. So we got him under contract, and first order of business was to get the payoff. He got the payoff from the attorney, and the attorney wanted that 45,000. He told him he wanted it. I believe it was right around 2 weeks, or if he didn't have you come up with it in 2 weeks, the price was going to go up on it. So now his back's really against the wall. Phil told me, Phil's like, what if I get in here and pay enough to, to cover the closing cost and finance, having that attorney paid off.
Uh-huh.
And if I could work out something as far as seller financing with seller financing, I told him I can get you paid off. And the total purchase price was $395,000. The amount that Phil financed was $75,000. That paid the attorney, paid for closing costs. Also gave the guy a little money to get started with a new place. And I owed the guy $320,000 in 6 months. So I got in there. Phil Finance paid the attorney off. The property closed. The property was mine, and I owed the guy $320,000 in 6 months. I got in there, made the repairs.
Yeah, I'm going to pause you for just a second, everybody. I'm trying to put this on the screen. I should have been had it on a slide. Okay. So here's what he said. The seller agrees to $395. Now, he's got this $45,000 property tax bill, and it's got to be, what has it been, paid in 2 weeks.
Correct.
So where is Scott going to get $45,000? He gets it from me. Yes, when you're a part of our program, I fund deals. My own money. I put them in. So he gets 45,000 for that, but he gets a total of 75. So some of it, went to went here. Some went to closing costs, and there's closing costs, and then you said some went to the seller cash in the pocket, right?
Right. He had needed some money to get started in a new place he was renting.
Do y'all see how this really helped the seller? I mean, this guy's back is up against the wall. If you have a cash buyer, they're going to come in much lower, not 395, much lower, much lower. He can come in higher, and we do this a lot. This happens a lot in where especially if there's other investors that are making offers on a house, we can offer more and make more profit than that other investor because we bring creativity. It happens all the time with us. And so so there's no money up front for Scott. Now Scott's going to invest some money in this deal. You'll see here in a second. But 75,000 comes from me, and then there's seller financing. Now here's where it gets real creative. You're thinking, Phil, what's so creative about Phil's money? It's this. My 75,000 was the first mortgage. I had one condition for Scott. I said, Scott, I'll do this, but the seller has to subordinate. They have to be in the second position. So long as the 320 is in the second position and I'm in the first position, I can get you $75,000 in less than 2 weeks. Done. And Scott, you made that work, didn't you? I wasn't a part of the conversation with the seller, but you made that work, right?
Right. Yeah. The hardest thing about that was a legal assistant at the title company called the seller and, told him pretty much this isn't normal for this other person to have the first position lien when you're doing seller financing. And I told the guy, I was like, this guy is willing to step in here and give this money to make this happen. That's why he wants to be in the first position. And he understood it. He understood it. He come around. Yeah. And after that, we closed, got the rehab done. Took a couple months to do that. And we put it on the market. Really good time of year. This was right about a year ago.
You
Well,
listed
Scott,
it about 700,000, right?
What's that?
just to back up one step there, you mentioned that the seller obviously had to subordinate being the second lien position, but part of why he was comfortable doing that was because you put 20 some odd thousand in his pocket. So
Yeah.
not only are you keeping him from going to foreclosure, he's getting what he needs to get moved on. So it's not like he had to go live in a box or in a hotel or something. He was getting what he needed, and that's the critical piece here. If you barely come up with enough to do the funding or to do the property tax bill, and he's just out of pocket for 6 months, people got to be able to live. So that was a critical piece. I recall when we were discussing, because when you explained it to him, he said, yeah, I can do that. 6 months, that's going to be enough money for me to do what I need to do. So it's just that creativity towards how do we structure this to be a win-win based on everyone's needs, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we had to fit that amount that Phil was willing to put into the deal around his needs to make everything work. Definitely.
So you renovated the house. That took some money, though. What was the total rehab cost and all that?
If I remember right, it was around 70 something thousand.
Okay.
That's
And then you listed it about 700, didn't you?
no, I listed it at 600.
Oh, that's what I mean. 600. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listed it at 600. Had multiple offers. Several offers. I mean, I remember, I think I had at least six or seven offers, and I had a first buyer came in that I went under contract with at 640. But the lady wanted everything in the world done to the property. She wanted everything to a T. And make a long story short, I ended up going with the person that came in second place and sold it for 630,000. So so we made, I remember right around 115 or so is what it ended up making. 115,000.
Yep.
Now, Scott,
115,000.
was this the one where the appraiser, we had to kind of battle on the appraisal because they were trying to use a comp that was supposed to also have water view, and it was so far away from the water, it was like he had to squint from the roof or something to see it.
Exactly. I know this is not supposed to be done, but I have a real strong feeling, even to this day, that the lender was had some influence over the appraiser and tried to convince the appraiser to appraise it low.
Mm-hmm.
Because the lender told me, I called and checked with the lender just to make sure that the buyer was qualified. And he told me what you need to be concerned about is the quality of the rehab. And I noticed on one property that he used as comparable that it was Well, a couple of them were nowhere near the caliber of this house. And even one of them, he gave it up. I mean, like a $40,000 swing, he said on build quality. And that rhymed exactly with what the lender said. And that house, that was way better quality than the other houses they were used as comparables. It's like Brian said, that house that overlooked the lake. On the third floor, there was you
Yep.
could overlook this big lake. All the other properties that you use as comparables, none of them did. None
Right.
of none of them had a lake view, which makes a pretty big difference in the property value.
Sure. Yeah, in the end, it appraised as it should have.
Right.
I mean, the comps were there, and ultimately, you make $115,000.
Right.
Everybody, that's next level creative real estate investing. And you see how many things had to get put together. That's how this works. And so on the outside looking in, you think, okay, flipping houses, you buy it at a low price, you sell it at a high price, it's done. No, the real magic happens in the nitty-gritty details when creativity meets up with experience, and what you get is the chemistry of a home run. And that's what Tom here, another win-win all-around home run is what he has here in the chat. That's exactly what this was. 115,000. If there wouldn't have been 75,000 in funding, I mean, you put in about 70, so you might have been able to get the deal to the potentially close, but then you wouldn't have made 115,000 because it took all that renovation to really get that retail buyer. This right here, these examples we've given you now, 3 examples. This is an everyday occurrence for us. This is what we do. And so if you're looking to get into real estate right now, this is where the money's made. This is where you don't have competition. This is where everybody wins so you can feel good about it. This is where you're able to create such big numbers that it can completely transform your life. That for some of you, what you want to do is either you don't want to go back to work or you're tired of your job, tired of your boss, and you want a better way. You want something that is yours. It's your business. It's your livelihood that you can control, that you can have fun with, that you can enjoy, and you can make big money. That's this. Now, it's not probably what you were thinking, right? It's not just simply buy a house cheap, resell it for more money. No, there's a lot going on here, and that's why you need a mentor. Scott, could this deal have been done without Freedom Mentor?
Absolutely couldn't be. But because I remember when I brought the deal to you and let you know what was going on with it, and I told you, this guy needs this X amount of money at least to pay this guy off that owns the tax liens. And Bill immediately said, well, why don't I just fund it and be in the first position? There's no other lender out there that can or will do that because they operate within certain parameters that their company's in. But I remember, Phil, you told me, what if I bring the money in and we loan first position? And I did. You thought of it, of course, before I did, and I was like, wow, that's genius right there. But yeah, it couldn't have been done any other way.
Now, this deal, I don't know if this is when I graduated you, but so
Yeah.
y'all know, Scott, working with us, made a total of 500,000 in net profits over a series of deals, to which we shared in the profits together 50-50. We have a philosophy, and that is 50% of something is a whole lot more than 100% of nothing. And so we worked with Scott until he put $250,000 in his pocket. That's net profits. That's not just equity in a house. That's actual money in his checking account. So how many would like to be like Scott? How many would like to be a next level creative real estate investor, creating big money, helping sellers, and doing things that you get done and go, wow, that was awesome. Wow, that was fun. My goodness, that was brilliant. Well, if that's you, here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to click yes right here because we have some availability right now to work with myself and with Brian and with our team, and for us together to do deals with each other that make you a lot of money, make us money, and we all win. There's always been that question of, All right. So someone like you, Phil, someone like you, Brian, why would you all ever want to teach some beginner? Why don't you just go do deals on your own? Why don't you just keep that knowledge to yourself? And that's because we work with you and we do deals together. And so that allows us to branch out and be successful across the United States. So we win and then you win. And it's for a specific period of time. It's until you put $250,000 in your pocket. We work with you until that happens. And so if you've been on these before, and we've been doing these every week for months and months and months, you've met different people each week that have been through this experience and have graduated with our program and have made a total of $500,000 in net profits. We create winners. We create people that know exactly what they're doing. Hey, now it's not always easy, right, Scott? You have to bring your efforts and your commitment, right? I mean, nothing in this life is easy. You
Right.
bring that. You bring your open-mindedness, your coachability, and you get out there. You get out of your comfort zone, right? You got to meet some sellers and do some things that may not be exactly what you're used to, and then we're with you every step of the way. We're there guiding you. And every little question you've got, it's always a good question. If you're seeing in the chat right now, I'm a big fan of questions. I'm Brian and I, we love it. We love the new challenges and the things that come with this business because it's always different. It's always unique. It's like a snowflake. Every deal has some little wrinkle to it. And that's where the magic happens. Okay. Well, for those of you that want to learn more about doing deals with me and Brian and the Freedom Mentor team, if that's you, then your next step is to connect with us. And how would you like that to be done? Would you like to connect with us right now? We have some team members available to connect with you, answer your questions, help figure out if this is a good fit, or you can schedule a time for later too. We'll make it easy on you, either way. But we want to connect with you if you want to be a part of this. If you want to be like Scott, if you want to create huge profits, do it in a way that helps everybody. Do it in a way that you can just feel really good about. And when you're talking to a friend or a family member, they're like, "Man, you're driving a nicer car these days. That seems like a nicer outfit that I'm used to you seeing." And did I just see you go to a bunch of pro sporting events? Where's this money coming from? You can say, "Look, I'm a creative real estate investor now. I'm helping sellers, and I'm making a lot of money along the way." And I've often told my kids this, Brian, money's not fair. Certain skills just make a lot more money than others, right? And that's the way with real estate. This makes a lot of money. And when you align yourself with the right people, like Scott has, like so many of you see, that's when you put yourself in the best possible position to be successful. That's when you get certainty that your work, that the efforts you're going to put forward are going to bear fruit, that you're going to be successful. All right. Well, Roy just made a comment that he needs help with a deal that he's got under contract. Absolutely. We can help you with that too if you're a part of our program. We'll help walk you through exactly how to do it because chances are there's some great ways to make a profit on that deal. But you need our creativity. You need my mind and Brian's mind and all of our collective minds thinking on it. And that's what we do. We'll get together as coaches. Sometimes it's through a message or a text, and sometimes it's straight up on a call. And like, "Hey, what would you do here?" And we're like, "Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that?" And so you get an entire team of people behind the scenes trying to help you get wealthy. We're working for you. How cool is that? All right. Well, if you have scheduled for later, then one last step. For those of you that are going to want to connect with us right now, the way this system works, our team will call you, so you'll be all good. I guess the way Zoom works, we know who you are because you registered and all that good stuff. Take a look at this. If you want to schedule for later, then go to freedommentor.com/schedule. See that? freedommentor.com/schedule. We can also put that in the chat. Stephanie just did. You go there, and once you select your state, then you just put in your information as well as schedule a time that fits best for you. And yeah, and we'll get together and we'll figure out if this is gonna be the right fit. Hope so, and hope to see a lot of you on the inside, on our coaching and our mentoring. Hoping to do a lot of deals with you. And a few of you on here are already in our program, like Howard. Excited to hear about your deal under contract. Looking forward to helping you turn that into your first big profit. Brian, just to let you know, Scott, to let you know, that one for Howard was ultra motivated. The person basically told him, said, "Look, I don't want to deal with an agent. I don't want to fix my house up. I just want the easy button. I just want to get rid of this thing."
Nice.
Now, Scott, you've got one of those on your hands right now too, don't you?
I've got another deal coming up that I'm not sure which deal you're speaking about, Phil.
But the one that's just they want the easy button. We were talking about just before we got on here tonight. That motivated.
Yes. I got speaking to the guy for a little over 2.5 years now, and the first time I spoke with him, he's pretty well off. He's got plenty of money, and he wanted to move by his daughter in Texas because all of his kids have left and went to school. He's got a few problems with his house. He's said it needs a new roof, needs a new AC upstairs, maybe a little bit of remodeling, but he just doesn't want to list it with a realtor. He wants like you said, he wants the easy button. The guy's got plenty of money. He already went and bought this house over in Texas. I noticed, and every time that I text him or reach out to him, he continues to communicate with me. And when I first spoke with him, I know the houses in that neighborhood, they go anywhere from 450,000 up to $1 million. And when I spoke with him the first time, I said, if you want cash for it, I'm probably going to be around in the mid 200,000s. And I thought the guy was going to tell me to get out of here, but he said, okay. He said that sounds good. He said, let's keep in touch. He said, I'm not quite ready yet. He goes, but what I'm concerned about is I just want to be able to close and sell it, when I'm ready and on my timeline. And here lately, he's already bought that house in Texas. He had a surgery he had to have done, and he's healing up right now, and should be hearing from him pretty soon. But
that deal could make a lot of money, right?
Yeah, that one could even be better than the one we just spoke about.
Yeah, it could be more than 115,000 net profits.
Right.
There are people out there, y'all, that want the easy button. They want solutions. They want your creativity, and you can do that. And so, Scott, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Y'all, if you could throw in the chat a big thank you to Scott for being here. He obviously could be busy doing other things, but he chose to be here with you all to share creative real estate at a whole new level. There's a lot of love out here for everybody here. And that's great. Yeah, Scott, again, thank you so much. So excited about what you've got going on as well, the deals in your pipeline. And again, you've had some great results recently with some tweaks to your marketing, and especially with AI and whatnot. Really excited for that for you. All right, everybody. Well, I look forward to working with you all, those that want to be a part of this, those that want to change their financial life. And so next up, we got a little video we'll play for you with some others that have experienced a lot of success with our program. Hopefully that'll inspire you as well. And so we'll be signing off here. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.